Therwan Sarnai. I think you all had a good time with the Sinhalese and Tamil New Year and some other holidays. If you try to enjoy your life with those holidays. And I hope that you practice the path as well at the same time. While you were eating cookies, the main point is, whatever we do, your understanding must be applied. This is the way you attain Nibbana. If you try to create another method to attain Nibbana, it will be really difficult. If you try to create another life pattern or a way, apart from your normal way, this will be very difficult. Because you have to create your own path. You have to create your own life as well as you have to apply the dharma. But it's really easy if you can apply the dharma to your life. That means you don't have to change your life, you don't have to change your ways. Then you don't have to be mindful about that. But if I ask you to practice if I create a path and ask you to practice that, then you have to be mindful about that as well. Then you will forget to apply the dhamma. As an example, if I ask you to apply the dhamma while you are fighting, then I'll teach you some martial art techniques. And I ask you to practice dhamma, apply the dhamma while you are doing that. In that case, you will take more time to practice those martial art techniques. After that, you can be mindful about dhamma. That's what happens when you try to meditate. Meditate means, that word, I would say, traditional meditation that belongs to Hinduism. Then when you try to meditate traditionally, that means you create a method. In that case, you need a tree. You should sit under a tree. And you have to maintain positions. Perhaps you have to concentrate on your breath. It will take a while for you to practice that. But if you walk, if you work, if you drink, if you eat, when you do all these things, you don't have to be mindful about drinking and eating because you have been practicing that for infinite number of eons. Therefore, you are really good at that. Don't you? You are really good at eating. Therefore, you don't have to think about eating. But while you are eating, if you can apply the dhamma, then you can be mindful about the dhamma. Then you can practice mindful awareness. Because this meditation is not called mindfulness. This should be mindful awareness. That means you have, without the dhamma, no meditation in Buddhism. If you talk about meditation in Buddhism, what the Buddha said, we have to apply the Dhamma. Without the Dhamma, no meditation. Therefore, Dhamma is the key point. Dhamma is the truth, the doctrine of the Buddha. The truth. If you want to free yourself, then you have to practice the truth. That means you have to be the truth. That means your mind should have the truth and it should be full of truth. Then mindful. What is that? Mindful awareness means mindful truthness, or the truth perhaps. That means your mind should be full of truth. That means your mind should be the truth. Then you can attain Nibbana. You can attain Nibbana that means you are in Nibbana. Therefore, all of the time, we need to practice the Dhamma. We should be aware of the Dhamma. Therefore, whatever you do, I want you to practice. Therefore, when you are on holiday, you can practice the Dhamma. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you practice the Dhamma. As long as you think about the truth. That is the most important thing. No matter what you are doing, think about the truth. When you are eating, you have to think about the truth. Whatever happened to your life, you have to think about the truth. In these sermons, we always try to give you some truth of the life. Mainly, anicca dukkha anatta. That is the greatest truth and the only truth in the world. With that, we can understand the world and we can see the truth of the world. Therefore, I always ask you to practice the path while you are while you are living. Therefore, don't try to change your lifestyle. Whatever you do, I want you to see the truth. When you apply makeup, I want you to see the truth. It doesn't matter. Apply makeup if you want. But you have to see the truth. Because you know that you apply some dye on your face, not colors. At least if you can understand that. And apply that while you are doing that. Because when you go to the society, you need to apply some makeup, especially for women. I don't think our men apply that. But when you apply makeup, it's a small thing, but it happens every day. That's in your day-to-day life. It happens every day. It happens every day. Therefore, if you can apply the Dhamma into that, then you can apply the Dhamma every day. You eat at least 3 times per day. Then if you can apply the Dhamma while you are eating, then you can apply the Dhamma 3 times per day at least. Likewise, when you do something, try to apply the Dhamma. Dhamma means try to apply the truth. This is how you start. Most of the time you come to us and ask, how can we practice this? Because most of the time you have issues with practicing the Dhamma. Perhaps you think that you can't practice the Dhamma, or you don't know how to practice the Dhamma. Because you think that there is a special way to apply the Dhamma. But I don't think so. Don't try to find any special ways. Just apply the Dhamma. Just apply the Dhamma means try to understand things. Try to find the reasons. And whatever you perceive, try to understand them with the knowledge you get from your teachers. When you see colors, at least you should know that these colors are not there and those are pigments and the colors are created in your mind. If colors are created in your mind, then it's happening. You can't see in the past, you can't see in the future, you can only see in the present, which means Pachuppanna. Then you will realize that everything is Pachuppanna. When you hear something, you should understand that everything is Pachupan. You can't live without those things, because living is that. Experiencing something is called living. You live, which means the mind is created. When the mind is created, all these sensations are created. That's your life. Apart from that, you don't have any life. If the mind stops creating, then you can't find any life in this body. That means you died. Therefore, if you are still alive, you can experience something. That means that experience happens. Whatever it is, that experience happens. Colors are created, sounds are created, smells are created. Therefore, you don't have to create another lifestyle to attain Nibbana. You only need the teacher. You only need the teacher to guide you, which means the dharma and kalyana mitra, which means noble friends who have understood the dharma, because you need the dharma. At the same time, you have to understand the reason behind this. Why do you want to attain Nibbana? Think about that as well. That will encourage you to move forward. The reason you should attain Nibbana. If you don't have the reason, perhaps it will delay. Your path will be delayed because you don't have courage to move forward, because you don't have a reason. Therefore, the Buddha asks us to understand the world and understand the life. And when you understand the life, then most probably you will mourn. Because you will realize this life is full of suffering. You realize that this life is full of suffering. Full of suffering because most of the time you expect something, but that doesn't happen. Therefore you suffer. Of course, suffering occurs. Suffering occurs, but I'm telling you, suffering occurs unnecessarily. This suffering is unnecessary. But anyway, you suffer. You can't stop that. When you became anagarikas, perhaps still you are suffering. And you can't stop that. But there is a way to stop it. If you can understand the truth, if you can understand the world, then definitely you can come out of that. Otherwise, you will always suffer. You will always suffer because of expectations. If you think that expectations exist, and expectations are okay. Most of the time you think that expectations are okay because we are human beings. Therefore, having some expectations is completely okay. And ups and downs are okay. That's how you always think. But I'm telling you, they are not okay. They are unnecessary. If you can closely associate with the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, you can come out of that. Actually, if you can understand the Dhamma, then you will realize that you have been suffering unnecessarily. I'll prove it. I'll prove it to you. About expectations and suffering. Most of the time, you lose things. You lose things. Then you think that, oh, I lost it. That means always you are talking about something you have lost. And most of the time you are suffering because of something you don't get or something you didn't get. Because you wanted something and you didn't get it. Therefore you suffer and you have the reason for suffering as well. Most of the time that reason is another person. Therefore you always point at someone and say that he is the reason, because of him I didn't get it or I couldn't get it. When you are suffering because of that person, that means you became another Buddha and found another Four Noble Truths. The Buddha said the reason of suffering is attachment. But your reason of suffering is John. Try to understand that. You are suffering, but you have different reasons. When you have different reasons, you try to avoid those reasons, but still you are suffering. That means you should understand that your reason is not true. Perhaps you changed your house address because you changed your house, you shifted. You shifted because you couldn't live with your neighbors. Because of those neighbors you were suffering, that's how you thought. The reason behind your suffering was your neighbors. Therefore you changed your house, you shifted from somewhere to another place. But still you are suffering. At least you should understand that the reason behind your suffering is not your neighbors. Reason behind this is expectations. But actually there is no such thing called expectations if you are not ignorant. But if you are ignorant, definitely you have expectations, then that means expectations exist if you are ignorant. If you are not ignorant, if you are wise. Here when I say ignorant, I'm not talking about the lack of education. I'm talking about ignorance about yourself or nature, the truth. Then if you can be wise, by understanding the truth and practicing the truth, then you won't experience expectations anymore. You may have heard that a life without expectations is fantastic. You may have heard that the Buddha had a life without expectations. Arahant had lives without expectations. Therefore, we also always try to have a life without expectations. But the problem is, we always expect something to happen. When that happens, we are happy. When something doesn't happen, we are not happy. We suffer. Therefore, I'm not going to help you to eradicate expectations. Because actually, in this doctrine, we don't have anything to eradicate. Actually, we don't have to eradicate anything. We have to create. Actually, in this world, you can't eradicate anything. You can form something. When you form something, something can be eradicated. But actually, it doesn't eradicate. Something forms. It appears, or it seems that the previous thing was eradicated. Let me prove it to you. This point is a little bit subtle, therefore try to understand it. When I write 1 and 2, the number 12 appears. 12. If I want to eradicate 12, I can do this. What happens to 12? It is eradicated. At the same time, what happened? 123 is formed, manifested. When something manifests, another thing is eradicated. But actually, the second part, another thing is eradicated, that is wrong. Actually, what happens is, something is formed. When causes are there, an effect manifests. This manifestation occurs all the time. Eradication doesn't happen. The Buddha said, when causes are there, the process occurs, and causes are not there, that process doesn't occur. You don't have anything to eradicate here. Therefore, when causes are there, something manifests all the time. Here, this cause is here, therefore, the number 1 manifested. Now, 2 causes are here. Therefore, the number 12 manifested. 123 manifested. Actually, we don't have to talk about eradication of 1, eradication of 2, and eradication of something else. When causes are there, an effect manifests. When something manifests, you experience it. The universe is completely positive. The universe is completely positive. You can't destroy it. It doesn't have any negative things. But you always talk about no, can't. But the universe always, yes. It always says yes, can, yes, can. It doesn't want to destroy anything. It only manifests. It manifests and doesn't manifest. When causes are there, something manifests. An effect manifests. When causes are not there, that effect doesn't manifest. That effect doesn't manifest means something else manifests. Then how can you lose something? Let me help you to understand that. Actually, you can't lose anything. You will only lose something that was created in your mind, not in the reality. Because in the reality, when causes are there, an effect manifests. That's the only chance you have. Therefore, you can't predict. If you want, you can predict. But those predictions happens in your mind. Those predictions happen in your mind. That's not the truth. You can think about anything. The mind can think about anything. Even the mind can think about Superman. First, you can think about you flying. You have 2 wings and a small beak. And you are flying. You can think about these things, but that is impossible. It is possible if you have causes. If you don't have causes, it is impossible. But the mind can think. Because if it has something in its memory, then it can take things from memory and create another path. Another story. Therefore, you can imagine something. You can't lose anything that is real. You can only lose something that is imaginable. That means you have imagined. If you have imagined something, you can lose it. Or you cannot gain it. Let's take an example and understand. But I want you to apply this into your life. If you can apply this into your life, you will be happy. You all have dedicated your life to attain Nibbana, which means to achieve happiness. Therefore, you must apply this. The dharma is the key point. Therefore, when you listen to the dharma, if you can apply that, then you will be happy. You will be happy means you will have a serene mindset. then you will have expectation-free life. If you have an expectation-free life, if you expect something, there's a small thing, a bar of soap. If you expect that, a packet of rice, a small amount of sambal, you suffer. You don't deserve. Therefore, don't suffer. If you want to stop suffering, then apply this. Understand and apply this. Let's take an example. I have two in my hand. Two objects. And if you come to me, I'll give you one. When I show you these two objects, in your mind, you have two options now. But that is not the truth. You have two objects, but I'm going to give you only one. Now you have two possibilities. The mind always creates possibilities. The mind can do that. But in the reality, possibilities don't work. Only Pachupanna works, which means the theory of cause and effect works. You definitely know that you will get only one. Because I'm going to give you only one. But you have two in your mind. Only one incident can happen. But you have two. Because of that, you have an expectation in your mind to gain this as well. Perhaps this. Then when you come to me, if I give this, then you lose this. If I give you this, you will lose this. If you can apply the theory of cause and effect, you should know that when causes are there, that thing happens. But we never know about that. If you are ignorant, expectations exist. But if you are wise, expectations don't exist. Two objects are created in your mind. They are not real. You should know that they are created in your mind. You can't stop them creating. Let them be created. That's fine. But you should know that they are created in your mind. You should know that they are your imaginations. First of all, imaginations are created. After that, the mind gets attached to those imaginations. But if you know that those are imaginations, the mind doesn't get attached. Anyone is there, those who want to get married to Superman? Anyone? He's very strong. He can fly. He came from another planet. Do you want to marry him? Anyone? Why? Perhaps you married a normal man. Why? Why did you marry a normal man? You got attached to that man. He couldn't fly, and he couldn't destroy by hitting something. Why did you marry that person? He was so normal. You got attached to that person. Why? What was the reason? You got attached to a normal person, but you didn't get attached to Superman, because you knew that Superman is not real. Therefore, if you really know that something is not real, something happens in your imaginations, you never get attached to it. If I roll this die, it has 6 faces. What will be the outcome? What will be the outcome? Your mind is very sharp, and it wants to create more possibilities. But nature stays calm. Nature stays until that happens. But your mind always predicts. Your mind always predicts, and it wants to bring more outcomes. But it doesn't matter. But you should know that those are imaginations of the mind. Those are possibilities and imaginations of the mind. Only one thing can happen. That happens when causes are there. Let's say this is 3 and 15 and 18. I can't remember now. Okay. 18. This is 6. This is this, and this is this. Okay. Perhaps you can't see. I'm going to roll this die. Tell me. If you want, you can bet as well. 1,000 rupees. Let's play dice. If I roll this, one thing will happen. One thing will happen means one thing occurs. I would say it should be in the present. When causes are there, only one thing can happen. Only one thing happens. Then you will have 6 things in your mind. Out of those 6 things, your mind gets attached to one thing. And you are going to put some money on that. Okay, 50. Any numbers? 15. Like, let's say 15. Now you expect 15 to roll. 15. Let's ask from nature. I hold this die and ask from nature. Nature, what's your number? Then nature will say, wait. wait. Because still causes are not there. Therefore, nature doesn't want to predict anything. Nature exists in the present. When I say in the present, you should understand that it's Pachupanna. Nature only exists in the present. Therefore, nature never answers any of your questions if you ask things about the future. Because in the future, nature doesn't exist. Your imaginations exist. Therefore, nature always wins and nature is always right. Before it comes to the present, you try to predict and you get attached to those predictions. When you get attached to those predictions, your mind is vexed because you expect. Expectation occurs in your mind. Therefore, you expect. When you expect, your mind is vexed. You expect something that is not real. It's like you get attached to Superman again. Or perhaps you want to marry the sun, perhaps the moon. You don't get attached to those things because you know that it is impossible. You can't get married. The sun, the moon, the rivers. Therefore, try to understand that those things are your imaginations. When you understand that, you never get attached to those things. Try to be in the reality. Therefore, wait until something happens. You can predict, doesn't matter. But those are your predictions that you should know. When you know that, you never get attached to that. Because those are your predictions. Your plan, let's say you have a plan to do something. Your plan is your predictions. Having a plan is okay. But don't get attached to that. Don't get attached to that means if you think that it is real, then you will get attached to that. But if you know that it is not real, it's your imaginations. You have created that from your memory. You took things from your memory and you have created it. Then your mind doesn't get attached to it. In that case, you never lose anything. Every time you will get something. Even cancer, you will get something. You will get it. That's it. When causes are there, you will get it. Perhaps you don't like it. That's another story. But you will get it. You can't lose. When causes are there, something happens, something is created. Therefore, you can't lose anything. When someone says, or someone has said to you that he will give you something, then he will give you something. He will give you something. That's what he said. What he said was correct. He said he will give you something. That happens in the present. That saying happened in the present. But will he give you? Won't he give you? You can't predict. You can predict if you want, but you should know that these are your predictions. You can't put the blame on someone. Because he said that he will give you. That doesn't mean that you will get it. He said that he will give you. You have to wait until causes are there. When causes are there, that manifestation occurs. No one can stop that. When I write 1 and 2, no one can stop this. 12 appears. No one can stop this. Therefore, if you can wait until this happens, you won't be happy or sad. And you won't be vexed. If you choose a number, when I roll the die, what will happen? You will be vexed. You will be vexed because you have that expectation, because you know that there are 6 possibilities and only one will happen. Then your mind is vexed and it's waiting. Waiting is also vexatious. Waiting. Actually, waiting means expectation. You expect something to happen. That's called waiting. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait if you can understand the truth. And if you can be nature, if you can be in the present, if you can be pachupanna. You don't have to wait. Each time something happens, that's the only thing happens that is real. You expect something that is created in your mind, but you think that it will happen. Someone can say that I will come at 8 o'clock. Then you will be there at 6 o'clock and you are waiting. Someone said that he will come at 8 o'clock. Will it happen? Or won't it happen? No, both of them are your imaginations. But you think that they are real and he will come at 8 o'clock and that's normal and that's real. That's how we used to think. If you promise someone, you have to fulfill it. That's how we have been taught. Don't break promises. That's how we have been taught. Therefore, our society wants us to keep our promises. Because our society is so ignorant. If our society knows that there is no such thing called promises, if everybody knows that, then we don't have to worry about those promises. You can promise me if I don't accept it. Like you promise me that I will attain Nibbana. You normally say that you will attain Nibbana. You will practice the path. Then I said, okay. That doesn't hurt me because I don't believe you. Because I know that that's in your imaginations. If you can't attain Nibbana right now, how can you attain Nibbana in the future? Therefore, I exactly know that you will attain Nibbana right now. Whatever the day it is, it happens in the present. It happens in the present. Therefore, I always wait until that happens. But before, I was a fool and I thought that you promise and those promises are real. Therefore, sometimes I judged you. I thought that you were a liar. Because you promised me to say Nibbana and you are not. You promised me to practice the path and you didn't. But now I know that. Now I know that I had to be nature. Anyway, I had to be nature. That's my practicing. Then when I practice, I should know that I had to be nature. That means nature always waits until causes are gathered. When causes are gathered, no one can stop an effect manifest. That doesn't mean that you can't make a plan. Make a plan. But the plan is in your imagination. You have created it. That's not real. Therefore, you can change it. But when something happens, you can't change. Your plan can be changed. Therefore, if you want, you can change it. That's your imagination. You can take more things from your memory and change your plan. Anyway, it was your imagination, and now you have created it. Again, it is in your imaginations. But try to understand that those are in your imaginations. Otherwise, you will get attached to that. If you get attached to that, expectations will be created. When you have an expectation, then definitely you will suffer. You will suffer means before you will be vexed, and after that you will be waiting. You will be waiting something to happen, especially that you got attached to. When it happens, you will be happy, which means you will experience pleasure. Otherwise, you will suffer. This is how it is. You always experience vexation, happiness, and suffering. I'm telling you, these are not these things don't exist. They exist only if you are ignorant. Therefore, let's eradicate ignorance, which means let's be wise. Let's be wise by understanding the truth. Listen to nature. Listen to nature and understand nature. If you want to be in nature, you have to understand nature. Let's understand nature's characteristics. These things. Nature's characteristics. If you have 6, you will suffer. But if you have 6, you should understand that those are your imaginations. Only one thing happen. Let's wait. If you have that understanding, how can you lose something? You always gain. You always gain, because when causes are there, you will gain something. That's why I told you, even cancer. When causes are there, you will gain that. Therefore, you can't cry that I don't have a cancer. My both neighbors have cancer, but I don't have. It's unfair. You don't have to say that. Because if you think that you don't have cancer, that cancer is created in your mind and you didn't get it yet. If you experience something now, that means you already got it. You don't have to worry. If you experience something right now, you got it already. Let's assume that you have a watch, wristwatch. Okay, you have a wristwatch. Okay. Now, but you don't have a car. Then you suffer because you don't have a car. You have a wristwatch, but you don't have a car. When you have a wristwatch, that's real. You know about that because you have it. But a car, you don't have it. That means that car is in your imaginations. That's why you didn't get it. Okay, let's assume that you don't know about cars. Will you suffer? If you don't know about cars, will you suffer? No. You know about cars, but you don't have. That means those causes are not there. That is in your imaginations. But you don't know that it's in your imaginations. You think that it is real. It is real, and cars are real, and you have you have a car. Can happen. You are having a car can happen. That's how you believe. When you want something, you always believe that you can have it. Because you have seen that someone is using that, or someone was using that. Therefore, you believe that you also can use that. Using that car is possible. You can own that car. Therefore, you forget that that's in your imaginations. Then the mind gets attached to that. I know this is very hard to believe, because you have been practicing this so long, from long, infinite journey of samsara. You have been practicing this because you didn't get the truth. Therefore, whatever comes to your mind as an imagination, you think that it can be real. Because sometimes you experience that. Therefore, you always think that it can be real. Let's assume that you want a baby. Then when you want a baby, now the baby is in your imagination. But you have seen people have babies. Therefore, you think that you also can have a baby, and it's real. No, I'm telling you. I'm sorry to say that you can have babies if you want, but I'm saying that you can have a baby is not real. It can be real when causes are there. Until that, it's not real. Let's assume that everyone has a baby. Now you want a baby. When you want a baby, which means you don't have a baby right now. Now you want a baby. When you don't have a baby that you want is in your imaginations, and you should understand that that is in your imaginations, and that is not real. It's like Superman. It's not real. Perhaps you don't believe that, because everyone has babies. What about me? Then definitely I will also have. That's how you think. I'm telling you, whatever comes to your mind, that is not real. Those are your imaginations. But you have experienced that your imaginations came true. It came true not because of your imaginations, ladies and gentlemen. It came true because of their causes. When causes are there, an effect manifests. That's the law. Try to understand that. But you have to practice this. If you practice this, you will realize. Realize, and you will use this. Otherwise, you always think that is real and it will happen. That's why in English we use the word will. When I say I will come, I may come, I might come. There are subtle differences. When I say I will come, then he will definitely come. That means definitely come, something like that. He will definitely come. Therefore, try to understand that whatever is in your imaginations, they are your imaginations. They are like your Superman. They are not real. If I drop this, will it touch the table? You can take your all knowledge that you have accumulated so far from your school to now. Tell me. If I drop this, will it touch the table? You know, when we drop something, it will come to the ground. We definitely know that. If you jump, you will come back. We all know that. But before it happens, it's in your imagination and it's not real. That's how you should understand this. If you know that something can definitely happen, but before it happens, it's in your imagination. If something is in your imaginations, that's your imagination, that's not real. But it happens. It touches. It happens. Now don't say that, that's what I told you. No, that was in your imagination. This happens due to its causes. We had to change our thinking style, thinking way, and thinking patterns. Because we have been practicing wrong path, because we didn't get the truth. That's why you always lose things. That's why you always break promises. That's why you always get hurt. You don't have to. You don't have to. Just trust people, that's fine. But you know that. Okay. If I say that, I will give you something, okay, now you have to say, okay. I will give you something. That's in my imaginations and that's in your imagination, because I said that I will give you something, because causes are not there yet. If causes are not there yet, then how can you believe that? You can believe, if you really want to believe the world, you can believe nature. Nature occurs, nature happens in the present, which means when the causes are there. Therefore, if I play dice with you, if you ask me to choose one, I said, okay, you play. When it happens, I'll choose my one. Then I always win. Like nature always wins. Nature never suffers. Nature never suffers because nature stays in the present. When I say in the present, I'm not talking about the time. I'm talking about Pachupanna. That means when causes are there. That's called present. Let's use the present because it's easy to use. But that doesn't mean the present that you live. The present means where the causes or when the causes are gathered. That's the only thing you can trust. Because that will happen definitely. When causes are there, an effect manifests definitely. No one can stop that. Then, do you have to expect? Okay, let me see. Okay, now I'm going to write 12. Don't expect anything, okay? I write 1 and 2, those causes. Now expect. Quickly, expect. No? Expect 12 to happen. Come on. Huh? When causes are there, you don't have to expect, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, wait until causes are there. But before that, your mind will imagine something. That's totally okay. But you should understand that they are your imaginations. They are like Superman. Think about that. Think about your future. Future means when we finish this sermon, what will happen? You can imagine anything you want. That's totally fine because your mind is free. It can use its memory and take. It can make 1,000 paths, 1,000 ways. That's totally okay. You can narrate a whole book if you want, but you should know that they are your imaginations. They are not real. That's it. They are not real. Therefore, you can have a plan by thinking that that's not real and they are your imaginations. You took those things from your past and you created something. That's totally fine. Then don't get attached to that. And if you really, if you need that to happen, then create causes. That's it. You don't have to get attached to that. When you get attached to that, you suffer and you are vexed, and after that, then you really want to come out of that vexation. Then you will stop that, whatever you wanted to do, and you will do something else because you wanted to come out of vexation because you are suffering. You don't have to suffer in your life to achieve anything. If you really want to become a billionaire, I'll tell you the path. Have a plan. Don't get attached to that. How can you not get attached to that? By understanding that your plan is in your imaginations. That's not real. Perhaps it's very possible. Let's assume that like this. This will happen. You definitely know that. But still, if you predict something, that's your prediction. It happens because of its causes, not because of your imaginations or your predictions. The Buddha asks us to understand the truth and practice the truth. Isn't this the truth? Now, will this touch the table? This will definitely happen, but you have to use that word will. That will is in your will. In your will, you have your imaginations. I will write my will. It's in your imaginations, because you will give this portion of your land to your elder daughter and this portion of your land to younger daughter. That's your will, and it will happen, which means that's in your imaginations. You can't write your will in the present, can you? Right means you can launch your will in the present, because your will be taken to account after you die. Therefore, for you, it's a will. You always try to write your will in your mind. What is your will? In this case, what is your will? 3, 6, 15, 18. That's your will. Therefore, whenever you use the word will, you should know that that happens in your imagination. I will help you. I can say, I will help you. Perhaps I can say, don't worry. Don't worry, I will help you. I'm telling you, be worried, because I'm not going to help you. Because I said that I will help you, or I am going to help you. Still I'm going. I'm not ready to help you. That's why you always suffer, because of broken promises. The fault is yours, because you didn't understand the truth. In that case, I'm not saying that you don't have to, or you don't have to believe others. You can believe them. But understand the present. When someone says that they will help you, okay, they will help you. They said that they will help you. It's in their will. And you believed it. Therefore, that's also in your will. It will happen when causes are there. Whenever the causes are there, it happens. Therefore, if you can stay in the present, you will have a serene mind. When we go on arms round, you will offer something you have. Therefore, everything that you have is in our will. That will is that will. If we can be in the present, which means in the Paccuppanna, every time we will gain. Which means we gain only, we never lose. You have a slice of bread, but I want, can you remember want? Want is expectation. Waiting is expectation. Which means attachment. All these words are the same. I want some rice. You don't have rice. You only have a slice of bread. But I want some rice. That rice is in my imaginations. I got attached to that imagination and I came to you and I didn't get that. Because you offered what you had. That's the reality, and that's real. Some rice, that is not real. That was in my imagination. And another example. You have some rice. I want some rice. Still, that the rice I want in my imagination. When I come to you, you will offer some rice that you had. That is real. When I can't say that, it happened as I expected. No. Don't let your mind think like that. Don't let it be a fool. Let it be wise. Apply the truth. I wanted some rice. That means the rice that is not real. That was in my imagination. The rice that you have, it is real. When I come to you, you offer some rice that is real. That happens due to causes. Therefore, whatever I gain or not, that doesn't depend on my imaginations. It depends on the theory of cause and effect. Therefore, apply the theory of cause and effect into your life. That's it. That's the only thing you need to do. Apply the theory of cause and effect. What do you want? Write your will. Actually, daily, perhaps hourly, we write our will. After this sermon, where will you go? Write your will. That's why you always said, I will go there, I will go there. And when you write your will, you should know that's in your imaginations. We never know what will happen. Because you write your will, and in your will you write a portion should go to your husband. And he will die before you. Perhaps. Not will. I say he might. Let's say might. Huh? It's before you. That was in your will. It's not real. Therefore, when you write your will, every time you write your will, and when you write your will, you should understand that it's in your will. It's in your imagination. It's not real. Practice this. Practice this a week, then you will realize that. And I had to say that you will realize it, because it's also in my imaginations and your imaginations. Then I can say that I definitely know that you will practice this. Try to understand that when I say you will practice, I definitely know that you will practice this. Then if I know that when I say you will practice it, it is in my imagination, and I never get attached to that. When I say we will have another sermon next week, then that's also in my will and in your will as well. You can write your will for next week, that's fine. And you can say that definitely I will come to next week, and I will come to the sermon next week. You can say that. You can say that means you can think, you can determine. That's all. You can determine. You can determine. That determination is also in your imagination, Sachin. You can determine to do something when something is in your imagination. When something is real, you don't have to imagination. You don't have to determine to do that because it already happened. That's what I told you. When you understand the Dhamma and apply it, your life will be very easy. And you will have a normal life. You will have a normal life. I also live a normal life. This life is very normal. Have you seen that I'm doing something like that and this and that, all these things? No. I was like this before. I didn't change anything. I don't use something that I don't want. Before, when I was a layman, I wanted a wife, which means a woman. Right now, I don't want a woman, therefore I don't have. I didn't change anything. This is how I walked. Perhaps I've slowed down a little bit because it's suitable to this thing and other people's beliefs. Because people always want to see a calm walk. When I work with our fellow monks, do you think that I do like that? I take a stone, I carry a stone and I go like that? No. I'm completely normal. That's why I told you, you don't have to change your way. Be you. Be yourself. That's totally fine. You don't have to change yourself. But apply the Dhamma. Try to be in the truth. That's why the Buddha said, Dhamma ramo dhammarato dhammang anuvichintaya. Dhamma, the Dhamma means the truth. Dhamma ramo, the monastery of the Dhamma. Monastery where you reside. That means you had to create the monastery of the truth in your mind, and you reside in the monastery. And you had to think according to the truth. Dhammang anuvichintaya. Dhammang anussaram bhikkhu saddhammana parihayati. If you can move forward with the Dhamma, you never lose the serenity of the mind. The Buddha didn't ask us to change our life patterns, our lifestyle, whatever it is. Therefore, if you wear makeup, wait. But apply the Dhamma. When you wait for someone, apply the Dhamma. Someone said that he will come at 8 o'clock and you will be there at 6, then you had to wait another 8. But you should know that was in his imaginations and that was in your imaginations. And both of them are imaginations and you can't get attached to those things. Something will happen when causes are there. That doesn't mean that you don't have to go there at 6 o'clock. You go there at 6 o'clock. But you were not waiting. You don't have to wait for anyone. You have to live. Why do you wait? You wait if you have expectations. You have expectations because you thought that it was real. If you know that it is in your imaginations, then you don't have to expect something to happen. If you definitely know that something happens due to its causes, then when causes are there, it will happen. Therefore, sometimes he will come at 8:30. Then you can't put the blame on him. Oh, you delayed. You were late or something. You don't have to do anything. But normally, you blame them because you were waiting. You were waiting means you have been vexed and you really wanted to come out of vexation. Then you know that at 8 o'clock you can come out of vexation. Oh my God. Just imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. From 6 to 8, you have been waiting. You have been waiting and you wanted to come out of that vexation. Then you know that you can come out of that vexation from at 8 o'clock. But when it doesn't happen, you will be vexed even more. Then you will start suffering. And he will come at 8:30. Then you will release lava at him. Who destroyed your life? Because you always think that he, or whoever the person, like I would say, he destroyed your time, but time is not real. Life is real. That means he destroyed your life. That's how you think. But actually, who destroyed your life? You, which means your ignorance. You couldn't live. That's why you were waiting. When you expect something and you do something, that is called waiting. You expect something to happen. That's called waiting. But right now you do something else. Right now you do something else and you are waiting something to happen. That means when you get attached to something in your imaginations, an expectation occurs. And you are waiting. While you are waiting, your life, what happened? What happened to your life while you are waiting? Is it stopped? No, it continues. It continues, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, you have to live your life. Causes come together and effects manifest. Every time. That's your life. You perceive things. But if you want to perceive something, especially, now you expect and you are waiting. While you are waiting, there are many things occur and many perceptions occur. That's your life. Therefore, you can't. No one can waste your life, but you. You waste your life because of ignorance. Therefore, try to be wise. No one can destroy my life. Thanks to the Buddha, thanks to the teachers and noble friends. No one can destroy that. I try to experience my life to the fullest. If you can be in the present, you can enjoy your life to the fullest, whatever it is. In the present, even if you have a headache, you can experience that headache without mental vexation. When you want to see a beautiful scenery, the scenery can be beautiful, but you are vexed because you want. You are talking about your will. Why? Wanting belongs to the future. You always say, I want, because you don't have it. Then if you want to see a beautiful scenery, that scenery can be beautiful, but you are vexed. Even if you have a headache, but if you can be in the present, your body hurts, but your mind stays calm. What do you want? When the body hurts, do you want to be vexed as well? At least you can save your mind. You can't save your body unless you take some pills, because that is unavoidable, because physical pain that can happen at any time. But you can use some painkillers or something and try to avoid that. But mental suffering is optional. It is optional. If you want, you can suffer. Otherwise, you can completely eradicate that. If you can be wise, that doesn't exist anymore. If you are ignorant, you will experience mental vexation. Then you will experience pleasure, which means happiness. That's people want to be happy. That means people want to experience pleasure. People believe that happiness exists, but I strongly tell you that happiness doesn't exist. Happiness and mental pleasure, both of them are the same. Therefore, don't try to be happy. Don't try to be happy. Don't chase happiness. Try to make your mind serene. Normally it's serene. It's very calm. Normally. Due to ignorance, it gets attached to its imaginations. Because it doesn't know that it's in its imaginations. It always thinks that it's real. Next week we will talk about objects. Objects and subjects. Remind me. Objects and subjects. The mind thinks that Objects are real and subjects are real. Therefore, the mind gets attached to that, attached to them. When the mind gets attached to them, vexation starts. Then the mind has to wait. Then vexation increases. Then the mind can't tolerate it anymore. Then the mind has to do something to come out of vexation. And the mind experiences pleasure. Then the mind believes that pleasure and happiness and all these things exist. Then it happens over and over again. That's called a life of a fool. I can't just say that that's called life, because that's not life. It's a life of a fool. Or a lunatic. Life of a lunatic. Because if you do something over and over again and expecting a different result, makes you a lunatic. But anyway, people don't have another path, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, they have to find their own happiness. Therefore, if you go to social media, you will see 1 billion posts that explains how to be happy. If you can understand the truth, then you will realize that happiness doesn't exist. They are talking about, again, pleasure. When you listen to some music, then you will experience pleasure. When you had a wanting and when it comes to fruition, then you will experience pleasure. You can't experience happiness. If you want, you can experience calmness, serenity of the mind. But if you get attached, if your mind gets attached to its imaginations, then it becomes turbulent. That's called karma. Sensual desires. That's called karma. When you have those sensual desires. Try to think about that word, ladies and gentlemen. Desires. When you have a desire, again, that's a wanting. You really want something to happen. You have a desire. That's a strong wanting. Desire. Sensual desires. When you have sensual desires, which means when the mind has sensual desires, the mind loses its serenity. It becomes turbulent. And the mind wants to make it serene. But the mind is so foolish. It doesn't know the truth of nature. It doesn't know the Buddha. It doesn't know the dharma. It doesn't know the sangha, the path to salvation. It doesn't know that. Therefore, it applies something different. It applies wrong knowledge. When your mind was turbulent and you couldn't tolerate that, and you were perhaps lustful, therefore you wanted to come out of that. Therefore you went to some of your friends. Then discuss with them. Then they told you, or they advised you, or they gave you very wise advice. Can you remember? They said that, oh, this is so normal. This happened to me as well. You can marry then you will sort your problems out. Get married very soon. Then you married because you listened to them. Then you got married. What happened finally? You know the story. I don't have to tell that. You had, just try to understand this, ladies and gentlemen, you had a small turbulent, your mind was turbulent. Normally it's calm. That should be the original state of mind. It's very calm. But because of ignorance, the mind believes those imaginations as nature, which means real. Therefore, it got attached. Now the mind became turbulent. Now, if you are wise, what should be your advice? Now someone's mind is turbulent. Before it was very calm. Now it is turbulent. Now what was your advice? What should be your advice? Put more fuel into that. That ignorant mind always decides that it wants to fulfill its sensual desires. Because that mind was vexed. The mind couldn't think. Because it was vexed, it wanted a quick solution. When it wanted a quick solution, it wanted to fulfill its sensual desires. But actually, it wanted the truth, the dharma. When you had that situation in your mind, if you have put some dhamma into your mind, you won't face many problems like you are facing right now. Therefore, I'm telling you, sensual desires are not to be fulfilled. Sensual desires are to be eradicated. Therefore, when your child wants to see, don't bring him a TV. Bring him here. Then we will eradicate his sensual desires. Otherwise, one day he will ask for a wife or a husband. Then you will have to bring one of them to him. Will that be the solution? Did you find your solutions from your marriage? That's what I'm telling you. Sensual desires are to be eradicated. Therefore, don't practice them. Don't try to fulfill them. They are not to be fulfilled. But normally people believe that they are to be fulfilled. That's why these industries are there. When you want to listen to music, then you think that, no, it's your sensual desire, then it must be fulfilled, otherwise you will suffer. No. Let me show that one as well, quickly. When you have a sensual desire, your mind is vexed. Sensual desire, which means karma. When you have karma in your mind is vexed because it was so serene. You didn't want to do anything to that. It was so calm. I know you didn't experience that perhaps, but its original state must be serene. because of these sensual desires, it gets turbulent. Because of that, the mind gets vexed. Now you have two options. One, you can do something to come out of vexation. If you really want to come out of vexation, because this vexation can't be tolerated, ladies and gentlemen. With the time, it increases. It's really difficult to tolerate. Therefore, most people choose to come out of vexation. And that's their knowledge. That's their association. Because people don't have enough merits to associate with noble friends. Noble friends means people who have understood the truth. It's very rare. When people don't have that situation, that chance to associate with noble people, they always go to normal people. Normal, ignoble, perhaps. Those people. When they go to them, they give their solutions. People have opinions. Always they have opinions. They will give it for free. Then you go to that normal people, which means ignoble people, perhaps. When you go to them, then they will give their opinion. And you practice that. Then that's why when you have sensual desires, you feel some vexation. When you feel that vexation, you try to come out of vexation by using your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and your body and the mind. Mostly these things. Because you think that when you have sensual desires, these sensory organs can be useful. These sensory organs are there because of ignorance of the previous mind. Because the previous mind thought that to come out of vexation, there is only one way. To come out of vexation, we need to use these sensory organs. That's why you have these sensory organs. If you know Rupavachara Brahma, they don't have these three things. They don't have these three things because when they practice jhana, they rejected these three. They didn't use this to come out of vexation. Therefore, when they become Rupavachara Brahma, they don't have these three sensory organs. But you have these 6. Can you imagine the life you had? Can you imagine the mind you had? How ignorant it was. That's why I'm telling you. Don't die like an ignorant person. You will come back with these 6 things. Now you have these 6 things and you try to use them. Still, I'm not telling you, but people. Still they are ignorant. And because they didn't get the light of the Buddha. They don't know the truth. Therefore, they still think that now they are vexed. The reason behind that is this vexation. Therefore, they try to come out of vexation. You can do 2 things. You can eradicate karma, which means sensual desires, or you can come out of vexation. If you want to come out of vexation, you can use these 6 things. If you want to use these 6 things, these are free. You got these things for free. Can you imagine that? If you had to pay for your 2 eyes, how much will it be? Luckily, you got these things for free. Therefore, you are using it every time. But you didn't get the solution for this. Because when you do something to come out of vexation, you experience pleasure, but still you have the root of the problem. The root of the problem is sensual desires. This is the problem. This is a symptom. Your mind became turbulent. Because of that, vexation occurs. That's not the problem. That's the symptom. The problem is your mind is not serene anymore. It became turbulent. That's the problem. That's called karma, sensual desires. If you can eradicate this won't pop up. Then you don't have to eradicate it. If you don't have something, how can you eradicate that? If you don't get vexed, then you don't have to come out of vexation. Then you don't have to use these things. You will use these things only for your needs. Well, right now you have to use it forcefully to fulfill your desires. But you can't get the solution from that. If you want to get the solution, you have to eradicate this. Therefore, every time when you feel vexation, try to think about this as well, ladies and gentlemen. This sensual desire. Because of this sensual desire, your mind is turbulent. Then the mind wants, or the mind needs, the dharma. If you can apply the dharma, this won't be created. Then you get the roots from it. You have to remove the roots. This is the root. Don't trim. People always trim by using these things. Therefore, don't be happy that you have a beautiful eyes. It shows how ignorant were you. How ignorant you were in your last life. Show your eyes. Oh, so beautiful eyes. And still, if you are using those things unnecessarily, remember that you are still ignorant. Now you can see, if you can understand the truth, the world will diminish. It will become very small. All the industries will be closed because you don't have to use these things. Now you use this because of vexation. But people think that they enjoy. Watching television is joyful. That's how they think. But they are so ignorant, ladies and gentlemen, they don't know that they have to watch, not they are watching. They have to watch. They can't stop. They don't know that they are in a jail. They don't know that they are slaves. They think that they have choices. But I'm telling you, you don't have any choice when the mind is vexed. When your mind is lustful, can you chant Buddhaguna? When the mind wants to see something, can the mind study? Can the mind eat? No, if it wants to see something, it will see. Then you can say that that's his choice. And that's not his choice. That's the choice of his vexation. You are a slave of your own mind. Try to bring salvation to your mind. If you want to bring the salvation to your mind, practice the dharma. Because the mind always needs the dharma, the truth. Without the truth, it becomes turbulent. Don't waste your life to use these 6 sensory organs. But use them wisely, because you need them. Now you have them, therefore you need them. Bats don't have eyes, therefore they don't need eyes. They can manage with their ears. They can manage their needs with their ears. But you have eyes. Therefore you need them. Therefore use them wisely. Whenever you want to fulfill your sensual desires, think about this. Eyes or the Dhamma. Sight or the Dhamma. Ears and sound or the Dhamma. When you use these things, you can live forever. Because you will come back over and over again. But when we use the Dhamma, this will be your last life. Because you don't have to come back to suffer. Or some people don't like to attain Nibbana because they think that then I will lose my pleasure. I'd like to give you some pleasure. I'll slap your face and touch it smoothly. Then you will experience pleasure. Do you want another one? That is it. The enemy is ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, if your mind is ignorant, you will be destroyed. I'm telling you. Therefore, as soon as possible, try to make your mind wise. Associate with the noble friends. Associate with the Dhamma. Be in their association. Then day by day, you will get something new. That means it is new to the mind. And you can practice them. Then, we were talking about a lot today. I want you to put them into practice. If you don't put them into practice, you never get anything. You will forget this knowledge. If you wrote this down, it would be destroyed one day. But if you practice this, that knowledge will be you then it stays. Then it lasts long. That's how it is. Therefore, I always recommend you to practice this. Because I practice. I want you to practice. I practice, therefore I get these things. Perhaps you wonder how I get these things. Every day, something new. Every day, something new. The reason behind this is, I practice. I believe that you also practice. Perhaps you will practice. I will put that into my will. But that can't hurt me because I know that it's in my will. I'll see you next week. May the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem be with you all.